Things are different now. Our shared disruption and time for reflection, grounding our perspective. Rapid acceleration of trends, long underway, is where we now stand. Customer experiences and digital experiences merging to become one across every market, deep and wide. Digital interactions are now the primary way, if not the only way, customers engage. Here we are, standing at the edge of our new reality. Digital transformation isn't a choice anymore. Your customers demand it. Own this day. Experiment and explore with tools that are open, flexible, intelligent, and stable. Our expertise and open platform are designed to allow builders to say, what if? What can be? The journey ahead may be unknown, but this much we know. Seize this opportunity. Meet your customers where they are, and you will build a bridge to the future. For organizations around the world and the customers they serve, this is the path forward.
Hello and welcome to our Experience Acquia virtual event series. My name is Mark Jeffries and I'm excited to return, not as a cat, I'm actually here, but indeed as your host and moderator for a very engaging session. May I share with you what we're going to dive deeply into? Well, this event will cover optimizing your most powerful engagement tool. We're talking about your website. It is so much of what you stand for and what your customers see and experience. So this is unmissable content. Plus, we're going to be sharing with you a sneak peek of some exciting product announcements and also explain how we've used our own technology to transform Acquia.com. Now, as we progress through the ideas and concepts that we have lined up, make sure that you are part of the conversation. As we speak today, we want to hear about your own challenges and experiences. So, when you post, tweet, and share, which of course we would love you to do, make sure you use the hashtag Experience Acquia. But wait! What if you have a sudden burning question, and we know that you will? Well, we'd love to hear from you. Drop your questions into the Ask a Question box, which is just down below, and we'll get to as many of your questions as we can during the Q&A at the end. Also, feel free to participate, add comments and questions in the chat area as well. You see, the choices are endless. You think all that's good? Well, hang on, because today we'll be giving out a 90-minute site optimization workshop to one lucky attendee. This is everything that you need to know about how to take your site to the next level. We'll be reaching out after the event to the lucky winner. All right, let's kick off now then with a sneak peek at some exciting product announcements. Please welcome the Senior Vice President of Product Marketing at Acquia, Kevin Cochran.
Hi, and welcome everyone. I'm Kevin Cochran, the Senior Vice President of Product Marketing here at Acquia. And I couldn't be more thrilled to join you all here at Experience Acquia to give you a sneak peek into some of the exciting Q1 innovations that we're going to be announcing next week on March 24th around our Open DXP. So let's begin. First, I'd like to take you through some very exciting announcements we're going to be making around our Drupal cloud. And this quarter, with our Drupal cloud, we are redefining the CMS category. We are redefining the CMS category around the notion of an agile CMS. We are the first to market with an agile CMS to empower your marketers to do things that they've never been able to do before, quicker, faster, and easier than ever. First and foremost, the foundation for our agile CMS is our new Acquia CMS. Acquia CMS is the first of its kind to harness the full power of the Drupal community and crowdsource the best innovations and to package them up so you can turn them on with an out-of-the-box experience and get started on new initiative with the full set of capabilities that you need to accelerate digital transformation and to delight your customers. Acquia CMS pre-integrates all of the services that you need, including pre-integrating Site Studio and pre-integrating all of our touch points across of our marketing cloud so that your marketers, day one, can immediately start building new campaigns, new websites, and driving real results. In addition to Acquia CMS, we are now announcing new innovations in Site Studio. Site Studio, as you all know, is the first of its kind low-code, no-code tool for marketers to rapidly assemble new digital experiences. Now, however, we are providing marketers with a new UI toolkit that has over 70 pre-built UI components that are smart, that are intelligent, that are adaptive, and that are all designed to give you all of the pieces that you need so marketers can immediately begin building the best websites in the world. It's all out of the box. It's all turnkey with Site Studio and ACMS. But wait, there's more. In addition, we've now made it as easy as using PowerPoint to create the most beautiful experiences on the planet. Site Studio is now completely visual. And I myself and every member of our team who are Site Studio users are having just a blast creating a whole bunch of new web pages and web content for our upcoming launch announcement next week on March 24th. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at Site Studio, I encourage you all to do it. It's a wonderful tool and it certainly drives productivity here for us at Acquia. And lastly, within Drupal Cloud, I'm also very pleased to announce Acquia Migrate. For everyone out there in the Drupal community on Drupal 7, we now make it easier than ever to migrate to Drupal 9 and unlock the full power of the Drupal Cloud and Acquia CMS. Acquia Migrate helps everyone by eliminating up to 80% of the time and the cost and the complexity of managing the migration to Drupal 9. If you haven't had an opportunity to upgrade to D9 yet, give us a call because we're here to help with Acquia Migrate. Now, if all that wasn't exciting enough, we haven't even touched the surface yet because we have a host of new innovations coming in our Marketing Cloud. Marketing Cloud is designed to help you improve your operational efficiency, eliminate risk, and of course, as every marketer knows and loves, increase revenue. So first and foremost, what we're announcing in Marketing Cloud is our new unified analytics. We're taking all of the analytics from Acquia Personalization, and we're now marrying that with all of the analytics in Acquia CDP. You have one analytics backplane to inform all of your marketing insights and all of your marketing initiatives. What this means is all of the anonymous visitor data that you've been collecting with Acquia Personalization on all of your websites is now available to our machine learning frameworks and all of our new machine learning models, so you can start doing much more sophisticated one-to-one marketing in all of your web properties and other digital touchpoints. What I'm also very excited about is exactly that, the new machine learning models. You know, as marketers, we always want to do one-to-one, but we always ask questions of ourselves like, what email do I send? How many times do I send it? Who do I send it to? What do I say? The wonderful thing now is with our new machine learning models, we take away all of the guesswork, all of the pain, all of the frustration, by automatically understanding not only when is the right time to send the email, not only what is the right content in the email, but how often to engage and where to engage. Also, what we now do is we also abandon the past of segmenting customers into segment A and segment B. We now help you realize the inherent complexity of every single individual you seek to engage. And we can resolve them into a myriad number of segments so that depending on what you're seeking to accomplish, you can actually engage them in the most appropriate way possible. We all don't live in one segment. We are indeed a segment of one. We resolved into multiple facets of our personality and our segments. And now for the very first time with our new machine learning models, you can truly understand each unique individual. This, of course, is going to lead to higher engagement, higher conversions, and ultimately greater revenue growth. And how do you know whether you're getting that greater revenue growth? Well, it's very simple. One of my favorite new innovations in Marketing Cloud is our integrated campaign performance reporting across both CDP and Acquia personalization. You have one dashboard. You have one system that can track end-to-end customer lifetime value and customer revenue growth across the entirety of the Acquia Marketing Cloud stack. For those of us here at Acquia, as you'll hear later from Lynn, understanding revenue attribution and how best to achieve key marketing KPIs for our campaign is the top of the agenda for every digital marketer here at Acquia and around the world. And now with our new integrated campaign performance reporting, for the very first time, we're going to give you an end-to-end view of the entire customer lifecycle and how to drive not only revenue, but customer lifetime value. And last but not least, here at Acquia, security, governance, compliance is really at the heart of our mission. And there is no other place where that mission is more important than what's happening around the world right now with respect to consumer data privacy and protection. We put privacy at the heart of our CDP. And new in Q1, we give you now new tools to ensure compliance with new and emerging regulations around the globe. And we help you let your customer understand what data you're collecting and how they can be forgotten. Our goal for all of you is to help you build trust with your customer by showing them respect and using their data in positive ways to help them live their best life. And again, to respect them so that when they want to opt out and they want to be forgotten, we're going to make it as easy as ever. So with that, those are the set of exciting announcements around our new Open DXP across both our Drupal Cloud and Marketing Cloud. And together, these innovations, we believe, are transformative to help you move faster than ever, to make smarter decisions, and to manage your entire customer lifecycle, manage their end-to-end experience, and truly drive business success. Again, I couldn't be more excited to share the sneak peek of the announcements to come next week on March 24th, and I want to thank you all for attending here today.
Kevin, thank you. 2020 was the year that changed the way we live, how we work, and our expectations of brands that we know and love as we switch to a fully digital life. Now, 2021, well, I guess that's the year of uncertainty and how we manage ongoing uncertainty and accelerate our understanding of our customers, fast forward digital transformation, and rapidly respond to ever-changing markets and demands. Well, that's going to be the key to brand success. Great start, but don't click on any of those pesky notifications, because now, taking a look at how Acquia used its own innovations to transform its own website, the CMO at Acquia, Lynn Capozzi, in her session Drinking Our Own Champagne, is about to reveal the story behind the complete transformation of Acquia.com. Lynn, over to you.
Hi, I'm Lynn Capozzi. I'm the CMO here at Acquia, and thanks for joining the session today. Today, I wanted to talk about the Acquia.com transformation, or a project I call Drinking Our Own Champagne, since we used our own Acquia products to accomplish this. I also want to talk about the question about, when do I redo my website? It's a question that I get from a lot of marketers and from a lot of CMOs who don't know when or even where to start. So I wanted to talk with you about that today. You know, there's over 8,000 or so marketing technology tools available to help engage customers, but there's only one that's really the constant for every business. And while today it feels like table stakes, a great website can still be a huge game changer. There's nothing more important than your website. You know, in fact, the cost of producing website content is 62% less than traditional marketing, and it will generate over 3 times the amount of leads. So think of it help for selling while you're sleeping. Customers are engaging with websites at unparalleled levels, especially during the pandemic. And as CMOs, we need to view their largest single branded property as the biggest opportunity to drive a great customer experience. As I said, many CMOs ask me, Lynn, when do I redo my website? How do I do it? And when do I know it's time? So I think from what I hear and what I know in the industry, there are about 10 reasons why it would be time to relaunch, or what a marketer calls redo their website. The first is maybe you have a new CMO and you want to be implementing a new vision for the company. Perfect time to redo your site. The second is updated messaging. If you change your messaging, you need to get it on your site ASAP so that the entire world knows about the message that you're trying to convey throughout all of your channels. Maybe you're undergoing a merger or an acquisition. Perfect time to think about relaunching your website, or a rebrand. First thing that you want to do is to be able to tell the world about your rebranding. So it's important that you coordinate your rebranding with your website relaunch. Perhaps you have a little bit older look and feel. Not sure I want to say old, but older look and feel. And it's time to have a more modern look and update that look. Perhaps you're facing some weak metrics. Maybe your traffic is down from what you want it to be. Maybe your conversions are lower than what you want. Maybe you don't have e-commerce, or you need to put e-commerce on, or you need to fix your e-commerce. Perfect time to think about relaunching your website. Maybe you're in the midst of a category creation. What a fun place to be. And that's the time to also be redoing your website to reflect where you are in that market category and claim that position. You know, if you haven't relaunched your site in probably the past 2 to 3 years, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's time. Because it's time. Digital things change so quickly, and customer expectations and our level of interaction with websites have increased so much that it's probably time for you to look at redoing that site. Maybe you have antiquated search. Maybe people coming to your site can't find what they need to find or expect to find and bounce out quickly and leave disappointed. Maybe you have outdated content. And one thing to think about your content is, does your content now support what I call the researcher journey? With so much content binging going on, with so many people coming to sites to do research, does your site support that? And I don't mean support the researcher as in a job title. I mean, it could be a developer, it could be a marketer, depending on who you're marketing and selling to. But does your website support their journey as they look at investigating and being a researcher? So we did an annual CX survey last year. It showed that 84% of people are engaging on more digital channels than ever before. So look at what happened. Look what we see during that past year of pandemic. 17% more visitors across the board, 40% more unique asset views, more time spent on pages. The most viewed type of content during this time has been webinars, videos, ebooks, reports. That's not going to change. That's not going away. Researchers are out there researching their journeys, just the way we do as consumers. When we go to buy something, the first thing we do is we go for research. So what it's telling us is today's businesses need ways to engage that researcher with educational content. What do I mean by that? Things like how-to pages, industry thought leadership, product comparisons, videos, demos, any content that supports those researchers who are definitely here to stay. As a technology company who provides the services to building digital experiences, we saw a massive uptick on our site traffic at the onset of the pandemic, and we continue to see that all year. So site visitors wanted to know how they improve their site, how they launch their site, and all the content creation that goes with that. So we knew it was time for ourselves to do a relaunch of our site and implementing our own technology by drinking our own champagne. So what do I mean by that? We're using 999. We're using the Acquia platform we just relaunched. We're using Acquia Site Studio that helped us create the site. I integrated with Acquia Campaign Studio, which is our marketing automation system, and also now my own customer data platform, so I can get that full 360 view of the customer. Often I'm asked, how do we do it, right? How do I know where to start? What does that process look like to relaunch your site? So we've put together what I'll call a path for success for you to design how you do your website relaunch. And these are the various steps that you'll see building along the way. The first is kickoff. So it starts with finding a trusted partner. You can do it in-house. You could go outside and hire a great partner. You could outsource parts of it. For when I did Acquia.com, I went to a great partner. They did the design for us, and then my own web team did the development. So it could be a combination, or you could outsource the entire thing. You still need to go through these steps though. So you'll have your kickoff, finding that trusted partner, defining who your key stakeholders are, defining how often they need to be involved and who they are. depending on the size of the company, I always recommend that you get the CEO involved, at least in that first set of meetings. It's always surprising when you ask the CEO, what do you want your site to do? What do you expect to get from the site? It's always a great interview to have with your CEO. The next phase is research. So this is the time to review your current website, including analytics and performance, perhaps do a SWOT analysis where that makes sense. Look at your site, look at your competitors. Are they doing things that you like? Are they doing things that make sense? How are they approaching it? Maybe look at other industries as well to see what you can learn from. See what that market opportunity is in terms of your messaging. Third, strategic planning. So define the vision and the direction for the new look and feel. Define your KPIs now. Do it during this stage, not later. Then you know what you're looking for. Create your content and your migration strategy and get yourself moving. Creative design is the next one. Develop a component library of reusable components that you want for the entire site. Your infrastructure, right? Develop a component, work with your vendors and in your operations team to prepare your environment. And don't forget to make sure that you're considering your sizing correctly. Certainly something that Acquia can help you with. Your content strategy and planning, this is key, right? So content is still king in today's day and age. It's the perfect time to look at the content that's on your site. Does your site support the researcher journey that's coming in? What kind of content are your visitors looking for? And if you don't know, you have to find out to make sure that you've got your own content map going so that that journey flow makes sense for that researcher coming in. Then you do your development, then you have your content, then you do testing and migration. So you test, you build, you test again. What are you testing on? You're testing everything from the function, the design, performance, accessibility. How is it on mobile? Does it support various browsers and devices? So you need to have a plan for that. And then you need to have a plan for post-launch because you know you're going to have a couple of issues and you'll know you'll have some bugs along the way as long as you have a plan and implement a plan to support that quickly. The next logical step after a site relaunch is benchmarking your success. And while your end goal should always be consistent improvement, there are basically 4 buckets based on what you're trying to accomplish with your site. So for instance, if you're an earlier brand and you really want to focus around brand awareness, it's important that you establish your brand, but you're probably more likely focused on that as a goal. If you are trying to improve your user satisfaction and your content engagement, and you're a little bit further along, then you really want to be focusing on that. New websites and redesigns are always going to be an iterative process. It's never a one and done. So you want to make sure that you're looking at all these factors, that you're considering all these factors, but you need to focus on which one is most important and which one's going to be the first one or the second one they're trying to target. Because if you try to target all these all at the same time, you may not launch. So you want to make sure what you're focused on, and then you improve as you go along. Again, always an iterative process. It's important to start with a solid foundation. So have your specific goals in mind for what you want your site to achieve, and then scale it. And when it comes to foundation, I don't think there's anything that's more important than Drupal. So Drupal is the open source content management system that's used by many size organizations all around the world. We have up to about, I think, 1.5 million users right now around the world that use Drupal. And the best thing I think about it is because it's an open source community, you get the best innovation. You get millions of people contributing to the code, and therefore you get a very extensible, robust product that you'll be able to use. Approximately every 30 sites throughout the world are run using Drupal. So we launched our site, we launched Acquia.com, we were all excited. So what happened? So we had some immediate results. You know, we did some things like we moved over 6,000 images from the old site to the new site, 77 new pages of content. We rebranded over 2,300 pieces of content. We streamlined our number of content types in Drupal from 21 down to 12. We built 35 different site studio components and 0 downtime during this whole process. It went extremely smoothly. Let's take a look at what it looks like now in action.
To get our site ready for the experts, we focused on the researcher's journey, discovery, delivering our products in a way that tells their story and amplifies their value. Evaluation, solving the business problems that brought them here in the first place. Validation, proving our solutions work, brought to life by our own experience. And selection, confirming we offer the features and integrations the fit them best. These are the steps that turn curiosity into leads and leads into sales. And it starts with a killer homepage, redesigned for a more modern, intuitive look and feel, and a more mobile-friendly experience. We made it so visitors can self-identify, streamline the navigation, and let them choose their path, so they can solve business challenges instead of worrying about them. We've revamped how we showcase our products and added a whopping 58 new pages to showcase our tech and make discovery simple. And with Acquia in action, the world can see firsthand how we built our new experience using only Acquia products.
Ooh, that's good.
When it's time to get down and dirty with the tech details, users can get an in-depth look at the features that set us apart. And it's all designed for maximum performance, so we can localize, optimize, and maximize our potential. The best part? It's live right now.
Since our new site was launched, we've seen significant growth in attracting new quality leads to our site. We've had more visitors searching for a solution. We've had an increase over 20% in our traffic. We have visitors that are coming to the site. They're not exiting upon entry. They're staying longer on page. Bounce rate is lower, which means they're engaging, they're finding the content that they want, and my conversion rate is much, much higher. So overall result for us so far, it has been driving more leads, which is what our objective was. So again, iterative process will continue, and we'll continue to increase those goals as we go along. Always make sure you're measuring. So this is just an example. It's just some fake data, but it's an example of how to measure. So we have one scoreboard that we use. I encourage you to keep your metrics, show your metrics, make sure that you're looking at those metrics, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, that you're producing those metrics and results that you're showing to your exec team, potentially even to your CEO and your board. You're doing that on a monthly basis, and you're looking at month over month growth and year over year. And so these are some things that we track, and just a suggestion to have that scoreboard and scorecard all along. We are not alone in terms of our relaunch. So we've helped over 4,000 companies all around the world launch their sites, be happy customers kind of using Acquia in the Drupal platform. Right now, I have the power of Drupal and the Acquia platform in the hands of my marketers. So my marketers actually can create and edit content. It's a very fast process. Then I translate. It's overseen by my digital team. It's a very quick process. It allows us to get content up very quickly in all of our sites all around the world. So we're very happy to be joined by all these other thousands of organizations. If you want to hear more about it, come to Acquia.com, drop us a note. We can certainly help you as well. And now I'm going to transition over so we can hear from some other customers who have done a wonderful job on their own digital transformation and relaunch.
All right, time now to meet some customers on a great panel to talk a little bit more about their perspectives on the transformation of the all-important website. I'm joined by Design Systems Operations Consultant, State of Rhode Island, Jason Parmentel. We also have Digital Solutions Manager from Glen Dimplex, Matthew Stocker, and the CEO of Third and Grove, Justin Emond. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
So before we get into it, I'd always like to know a little bit about who I'm speaking to. So Jason, let me start with you. Tell me a bit more about you and your organization.
Sure. I work for myself and working through a company called NIC with the state of Rhode Island to currently the main project is designing and building a content management platform for the states, for all the state agency sites. So it's on the Site Factory platform in Drupal 9. I actually just finished working with the state of Georgia on a similar project, and I seem to have fallen into a niche of web typography and design systems for state government. So it's been interesting, to say nothing of challenging over the past year, but it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I am sure, and it's certainly keeping you very busy. All right, well, welcome. Thank you for spending time with us. Next up, Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew Stocker, based in Ireland, working with Glen Dimplex, which is a manufacturer of heating and home appliances. And we're currently going through a big digital transformation project and moving everything into Site Factory.
All right, things are very hot around your area, I hear. Non-stop.
It's nonstop.
That was my heating joke, and it didn't
got
work,
that.
but let's ignore it.
I might be the only one who got it, but I got it. It was very fun.
Justin, welcome to you as well.
Thank you. I'm Justin. I'm the CEO of Third and Grove. Before the pandemic, I was a professional dinner guest, and then had to do some soul searching on what I had to do post-COVID or during the pandemic. We're a digital agency. We build and design websites for clients and do everything we can to get a great performance review for our clients, get them to do really well in their next performance review. We're based in Boston. I'm here in Boston, a couple blocks from Acquia HQ.
Fantastic. Well, number one, I hear you do great work. But number two, I'd like to do a whole separate panel on being a professional dinner guest, because that is of great interest to me. We'll come back to that. All right, so let's get into it now. We know that people are spending more time online and on websites than ever before. So the question is, how do you think the role of the website as a channel has actually changed as customer experience has expanded to more channels and more devices? And honestly, I'll ask all of you to go for this. So Jason, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I think if anything, it's become more central. When everybody talks about with design systems, the phrase single source of truth comes to mind. But I think the same is true with a website and the way it feeds everything else, having that central source that all the content can go into and then be pushed out into speech, Alexa, devices, game systems, who knows what else. You have to have some place to put it all. And this is really functioning well as a distributed place for people to gather and collect that content and distribute it.
Great. Thank you for that. Matthew, what's your response?
Likewise, I think the idea of a single source of truth along a pipeline, so it doesn't live in a vacuum, your ERP or your PIM feeding into it. But I think the big thing that I've noticed changing is non-traditional products being sold online. So it's in the past, it's been good enough to have a presence online, like a brochure site. Now it's, with the pandemic, it's how can we turn these into a source of revenue, not just a source of narrative. And that's definitely something I've noticed change in the last 8 months.
Do you think that would have happened without the pandemic?
Slower. I think it would happen slower.
I think
the
catalyst, I would say.
This is the word I hear so often. The pandemic ended up being a major catalyst for what we were going to get up to anyway. So that's really valid. Thank you for that. And Justin?
Yeah, I mean, to echo on that, I'm reminded of that Lenin quote where he said, sometimes you have decades where nothing happens, then you have weeks where decades happen. And that is definitely, to your point, of a catalyst, like with the pandemic, it just accelerated everything. It did take 6 to 9 months for me to hear from prospects, though, really not until Q4, where they would say at the beginning of the conversation, we know we're behind. And now we need to catch up. And so there's just a bunch of digital laggards that realize that, that acceleration did really happen quickly. I think the other interesting area is on the B2B side. There's pre-COVID, there's this concept of the dark funnel, which is what percentage of the buying process of a B2B buyer happens before they actually talk to the brand. And a recent study showed that it's now 60% of that buying process happens before the prospect ever actually identifies and says, hey, brand, I want to talk to you about your product. The pandemic accelerated the importance of that dark funnel and just creeping it higher and higher. And so that is a huge area where B2B, especially B2B folks, need to operate because they can't control that conversation anymore because they're not being invited in. There are things they can do to operate there, but they have to be aware that sort of that dark funnel is getting bigger, and they've got to be savvier with how to operate in that space.
All right. Fascinating answer. Thanks for that. And great to hear a Lenin quote. You don't get that too often nowadays. All right. Next up. So question is, what made you decide it was actually time for a website relaunch? Because we get so comfortable with our websites. We know we need to make improvements, but it's so hard to actually pull the lever and actually do it. So what made the decision real, and what were some of the initial steps you took to begin that effort? And Jason, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. Well, the project to create this platform has been something that I've been working with the head of NIC in Rhode Island, trying to get the state on board with that for now. It was started 5 years ago when we first talked to them. It moved forward eventually, and we were just about to start the project when the lockdown was announced, and it nearly killed the effort. But in an odd way, that's also the reason that forced it to happen. All government interaction was pushed online. Everything was shuttered. So there was no way for people to get that information without having a better web presence. And previously, the efforts were really slowed down because everything was being done manually. So it was almost all static still. And so performance was an issue, accessibility was an issue. There were all kinds of challenges, and that's what we were really tasked with trying to address. And it became a way to focus. There was no dedicated COVID site. There were COVID resources in lots of different places on the Department of Health, but what we proposed was as a way to give us a sort of a raison d'etre to like really focus everybody's efforts on this, was to say, all right, we need a dedicated COVID site. That will be the first thing that we launch. So no pressure or anything, but we started. The project finally kicked off in June, and we launched it the second week of December. And that was in a completely new Drupal 9 based distribution, a Pattern Lab based design system that is chock full of some of the best front end work that I've seen done by Oomph here in Providence. A really fantastic bunch to work with, and everything came together to yield something that was 3 times faster. It had managed workflows for more content authors to be working in it. It had better accessibility right out of the box. There are no issues. It's nearly at AAA compliance in terms of color contrast, but this system still has 5 different color themes people can choose from. There's all kinds of really interesting stuff there that we're just scratching the surface in terms of where that's going to go.
And so I'm interested to know how a little bit more about how the traffic and engagement has actually changed on the site. Obviously, this was content that people were demanding, they were absolutely desperate for. And so it was going to be a win-win. Whatever you put out was going to draw the attention. Right. But what changes have you seen?
There have been some really interesting things that we've seen with the performance numbers going up in terms of just how quickly we can serve the site. The amount of data that's being shipped downstream is 1/3 of what it was before. So there's a tremendous amount that we've shifted there. So mobile usage is hovering around 65%. So it's really changed people's perception of how they need to organize their content, how they need to optimize the delivery and the interaction with that. So different strategies have come to light in terms of what kind of data displays, what kind of table displays for all the data that comes along with COVID stuff. So it's been a fascinating challenge from as a designer, as a typographer. So we support dark modes as well. So we're like fine tuning the typography in different color contrast modes, and it's been pretty interesting, and in several languages too, which has been a whirlwind.
I bet it has. Very impressive. Thank you for that. Matthew, I'll come to you. I know you're working on a global rollout of Site Factory. How's it helped you spin up sites quickly and with the governance that obviously your company requires?
We have approximately 20 sites that we've put live in the last 12 months. Of those, they range from 1 language to 8 languages. Different product portfolios of different country templates, and we've just noticed a massive increase in speed for how we can do it. We're building a product, which is the core platform that we build in Site Factory, and then we treat each of the brands and the businesses that we go out to as a customer and say, look, this is the suite that we have to offer. Work with our internal designers to customize that, to have a bespoke team on the front end of it. And you're talking weeks and months as opposed to a year. And just the quantity of data that each of these sites are managing, you're building one interface for an ERP. And then it's the same interface that we're just using over and over again.
Right.
You were saying in relation to how do you make that decision? we're quite lucky in the digital department of Glendintex in that we have the exec support. So this was a
Right.
decision of a digital transformation that started many years ago with implementing, rolling out SAP globally, and in a global PIM, and then moving everything into this site factory model. So we've made massive progress over the last 12 months, but we've still a way to go. We've still got a large number. We've about 50 brands, and we're afraid to say how many sites we need to bring in under this umbrella.
There's a lot of work to be done. But very briefly, you said this obviously was driven by the executives at the C-suite level. So you must feel like you have a seat at the table. Any tips you would share on pushing a creative idea or a tech idea to the C-suite, especially if there's a bit of resistance? Anything you could share on that?
We were lucky in that we didn't have much resistance from the start, but you are kind of decentralizing some of it, and then a massive push towards centralization. So it's a fine balance. Economy of scale is just a driving force behind the narrative.
Right.
Economy of knowledge, being able to turn around to the exec and say, look, when one business team knows this platform and knows what we're rolling out, they are able to drop into another department, another business, another part of the globe and say, look, we've been through this, we know this, we can show you the roadmap to it. And then limited risk. When you're using the same integrations again and again, you're removing risk from a project time and time again. Never without risk, but you're decreasing that risk, and that's what an exec loves to hear.
Great, thank you for that. Justin, I know that you work with some top brands, including King Arthur Baking, and you were Acquia's trusted partner for their recent website relaunch. Any advice that you would share with those who want to get started with their own website relaunch? Maybe common pitfalls that you see businesses make when they relaunch and redesign?
Yeah, two things I'd say. I think the first thing is there can be a tendency at the beginning of a redesign effort to bring a lot of assumptions about what you think the digital strategy should actually be for the new experience. And there's a really fine line, I think, between the homework items of providing research and perspective and all the stuff you gather in stakeholder interviews and user assessments and all that great information that helps you get grounded with where a brand is online. But between that, there's a fine line, and really saying, well, we should probably skip discovery or go quickly or cut things out of discovery because I kind of know what we need to do. It really shortchanges the process, and just having an outsider that isn't deeply embedded in the organization just offers a great perspective to come in and say, well, let's go through the process, because at the end, we're going to tell you some things that you know, but we're going to tell you a bunch of other things that you probably didn't know, or from a perspective that you weren't really understanding, whether it was sort of client or customer focused. So, it's one of the reasons we usually don't want our clients in the user interviews when we're talking to their clients and customers, or candidates or folks, just to get sort of an unbiased info and bring it back. So I would say commit to the process, and even if you have those biases, try to hold them down and just sort of let the process go forward. I think the second piece is around industrializing insights. And this one is really crucial as a foundational element. The thing about Google Analytics is it's kind of like teenage sex. A lot of people are doing it, but not a lot of people are doing it right. And you've got to correct a couple of things in there more than just flipping a switch to gather the data. And if you flip the switch and do nothing else, you kind of gather all the data you don't need, but you're missing the little piece of data that really helps with those insights. So getting that in place at the beginning, right when discovery starts. Most of the brands we work with, and Matthew and Jason fall into this category, you guys have a lot of scale. 2 weeks of data is more than sufficient to get some good insights. So if you can get your data collection in a great shape right at the beginning, then you have everything that you need to do to inform the whole discovery process, which feeds into the ultimate experience and all of the agile marketing you do post-launch and optimization for months and years to come.
That was critical.
Great
with the
answer.
COVID
You always find a fun analogy. Sorry, was someone else looking to add into that?
Oh, sorry. That was so transformative in starting to figure out what we wanted to do with this COVID site, we looked at the data segmented down from the main Department of Health site and looked at what people were looking for. And it changed the entire design of the homepage. It changed the information architecture that we were going for. And it effectively became the hero element of the site. We actually, rather than, we kept it really information forward, where the first thing you see when you go to that homepage are 4 collections of links into different segments based on the traffic. And that was what really drove it, and I think made it much more successful right out of the gate.
So you would have gone in a different direction if you hadn't had access to that essential data, is what you're saying.
It was actually twofold. At first, I think I would have gone in a different direction. I think that's true. It also gave us the right tools to have the right conversation with senior stakeholders to get them to understand why the design of this site should not be the same as all the other agencies. We're going to be pushing 70 different agency sites in the next 18 months into this platform. We're launching one in a half an hour, and that's that's going to be a really fast pace. But that one needed to be different. What people need from a COVID response site is not the same as what they need from the parks. It's not the same as what they need from the Department of Revenue. There are different needs, different psychological profiles. What kind of stress are people under when they're trying to find this stuff? Maybe that is similar to taxation, but still, it's these are like common threads from working with the state of Georgia and working with Rhode Island. It was kind of a similar thing where we use typography to calm things down. We keep that consistent, and then we have using Layout Builder to give flexibility in the overall design. But then when it comes down to it, people need to interact in a familiar way under really stressful circumstances. And that was a way for us to tie those things together. And we wouldn't have had those insights or the ability to, I hate the word defend, but really prove that this was the right decision with senior leadership and get their trust. So we're not just doing this just to do it. It's like we're not putting a big image up there because that's just the wrong thing to do. That's not what people are looking for.
Yeah, very true indeed. My goodness. And that brings us almost to the end of our time together. So much valuable content. We really appreciate it. But before I let you go, we always like to add one personal question because we're all humans, something non-business. So my question today is, which TV show, after a year of working from home, can you admit to actually having binged and really enjoyed? I'll start, because for me, I'm going to do 2. It was The Undoing. That was great. And Flight Attendant. What a surprise. What a delight. All right, over to you guys. So Jason.
Well, the good news is you just took 2 more off the list of things that we watched, so I can focus maybe on some other ones. But the interesting thing is we gravitated to things not in English. So there were a few, but the latest one that we're watching that we absolutely love is Stissel. We're really enjoying that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's a fan favorite for sure. Thank you for that. Matthew.
Certain ones I won't admit to, which were mentioned offline, so I'm definitely not mentioning that one. But the Queen's Gambit, I think I was absolutely blown away by that. I binge watched that, but amazing acting, and the storyline was just superb.
Yeah, checkmate indeed. Justin.
I would say Fleabag. It was an extraordinary narrative. It was so awesome for her to have the courage of just telling the story in 2 seasons and be done with it. It was just it was remarkable. She's so talented, that writer and lead.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I have to say thank you so much for all of that input, because it's one of those things where, when you ask questions and you actually start to understand how people are approaching the challenge, you learn so much. So a very, very big thank you then to Jason, Matthew, and Justin. Thank you all very much.
No, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Great panel. And now it's the final 10 minutes of our time together. And what we want to do is answer some of your questions. So as you can see, we have Lynn and Kevin ready to take your questions. I've got a few that I've prepped, and there's more coming. So if you have a question you'd like to ask, don't forget, now is the time. Type in the question in the Q&A, and we'll get on with it. So welcome to both of you. Kevin, I'm going to start with you. So a question we keep hearing, what type of business could benefit from the CDP that you were talking about? What are the requirements for this customer data platform? And I guess really as a kind of add-on, how do people know if they're ready for it?
Right. Well, Mark, it's a great question. And the good news is nearly every organization is the right organization for a customer data platform. Simply put, as we're all now fully digital and fully online, the singular way we can really start to connect one-on-one with our customers is by first aggregating all of our first-party data to start building up that profile and start really understanding who they are as unique people and unique individuals. We no longer have the opportunity necessarily to meet with them one-on-one, in the store or in the field. And so really what the CDP does is it gives you that human intelligence, and it allows you to have that normal human empathy in the digital realm that you otherwise would have kind of in the physical realm. Now, in terms of the requirements for the CDP, the number one requirement is that you need to abandon third-party cookies. Third-party cookies and monetizing customer data just to segment them as a category to acquire them just doesn't make sense anymore in this day and age. So it's really all about getting a first-party data strategy. What is the information your customers consented to provide you such that you can deliver them that personalized experience? It's about respecting your customer, respecting their privacy, and taking a different approach, a better approach, a more modern approach.
Right. What do you say to those organizations that don't really want to let go of those third-party cookies?
Well, I think that with where consumers are going, we have a heightened degree of concern now that we're fully 100% online. What is the information you have about me? Why do you have it? How are you using it for my benefit? Did I consent to it? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of fear and trepidation and nervousness about moving away from third-party cookies, but it is the right thing to do. Customers will share their information with you so that you can have a conversation with them and help them. So it might be a transition for some, but we highly encourage everyone, just start treating your customers like real people and just afford them the same respect in the digital realm that you would in the physical realm.
Very wise words. And by the way, final add-on before I go to Lynn. Kevin, one of the questions from our audience was, can this work for the real estate industry? I'll broaden that. Can every industry benefit from this?
Yeah, every industry can, and in particular, the real estate industry. One of the unique advantages of our platform is you can what we call fleet ops. So if you have a number of realtors all strewn out through a particular region, you can kind of templatize an entire site, put all the governance and all of the control around it, and you can print as many versions of the site as possible and decentralize site ownership and content production to each of the individual realty branches. So it really is a wonderful way if you have decentralized or franchised operations to really empower local teams with the best-in-class, secure, very important, secure experience. Now, also for realtors as well, the market intelligence that you can get from something like a CDP really is astronomical, because if you want to talk about a more personal decision, it's buying a house. I'm buying one just today, actually. I just closed on it about 5 minutes ago. So literally real time. That's a very personal decision. You really have to help the realtor really get the best insights into the customer. And a CDP is really the only game in town to do that.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations on the house purchase and incredible multi-skilling, right, Lynn? I mean, he's on a live event and buying a house. You can't do that in the in-person world. All right, Lynn, now that you've launched, it looks amazing, by the way, but what's next? What do you focus on now?
Yeah, we have a lot going on. We'll obviously continue to always reiterate. Kevin talked about some new product announcements and launches that we have coming next week. So I have a lot of content to support that. So I can't even count in terms of how much new content that we'll be putting on by next week. Also, I'm always looking at personalization, right? Personalizing different parts and segments of the site, testing around that. So that's a continuous process that my team will continue to do. I'm also putting on some new tools so I can track the researcher's journey. So I can see a lot of movement on when people come to the site, a lot of information which will tell me, is the content working? Are they staying a long time? Where are they going? And what does that journey look like for them? And making sure that I'm supporting their journey, because as we heard from Jason, when someone's in a buying process, they're going to do 60% of their research on their own before they even talk to a vendor. So we want to make sure that we're definitely supporting that. And then, it kind of goes into my whole digital experience that I have running at Acquia. So I have a customer data platform, and I'm using customer data platform for segmenting, and it's working really well for us around that end. I'm also doing a customer advocacy platform. So it's my whole digital experience that we're building out. And the nice part is I can, use all those products together and be able to drink our own champagne.
Very nice, and cheers to that. It's a journey though, right? So we drink our champagne and we just keep pressing forward. Thank you, Lynn. Question that's come in, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. So Kevin, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but how many sites, it says how many sites it includes in the monthly plan for Site Factory. I'm guessing how many sites are included in the monthly plan?
It really can scale up to really any number. We have customers that use it for 25 sites. We have customers that use it for over 3,000 sites. So really you can there is no limit with Site Factory. If you need to templatize different types of experiences and roll them out across multiple brands or multiple regions, it really is a unique, one of a kind kind of global governance platform. Can have pre-built B2C experiences, pre-built B2E experiences, pre-built B2B experience, or B2B2C experiences. So you can have 4 types of experiences, and you can just literally manufacture hundreds of instances, thousands of instances of each.
Perfect. Well, our time is up, and I can't let you go without asking you the question of the day, which has nothing to do, of course, with our industry and the amazing work of Acquia, which is, which TV show did you binge across the last year? You don't have to tell us all of them, but maybe pick one. Kevin, I'll start with you.
It was pretty awesome. The Originals.
Really? Top tip, The Originals. Thank you for that. And Lynn, I'm going to give you the last word and your television/movie recommendation.
Well, I have to say 2. I'm with Matthew. I really love The Queen's Gambit. Love that one.
Yep.
The other one that I've been watching is Yellowstone. But anything that has Kevin Costner in it is good for me.
He is good. I love all that history. And I think they're going to do a prequel even to the one that's currently out there. So there's just so much good TV. Thank you both very much. Before I end it, though, I just want to say to everyone watching, because we keep hearing people saying, can we see this again? Is it going to be on demand? The answer is yes. You can actually come back and watch any of this content starting tomorrow right here on this platform. But for now, Lynn, Kevin, thank you both very much indeed.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Thank you for your time and being a part of the conversation. We'll be reaching out to the lucky winner of our 90-minute site optimization workshop by Friday, March the 26th. So keep an eye out for that. The good news is that we plan to host more Experience Acquia virtual events soon. So again, be on the lookout for those announcements. We'd also love to hear from you about future topics and how you think we could do an even better job. So please take our feedback survey. You'll see it on the left-hand side of your screen. As our way of saying thanks for joining today, we'll be sending you a small token of our appreciation. Keep an eye on your email for more information. And by the way, if your question wasn't answered today, we'll be sure to follow up with you directly. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you today, and I look forward to seeing you next time.